Get in. Come on. What a nice little Saturday in Burnley. This is the last word. It's finished. Burnley 1, Newcastle United 4. Yes, welcome back to the last word. As I've mentioned, it has finished here rather. Burnley 1, Newcastle United 4. Before we go any further, some sad news over the week. SAFC Fan TV member Jack sadly passed away, and everybody from Newcastle Fans TV would like to send our condolences to the family of Jack during this very, very difficult time, and to everybody at SAFC Fan TV, because obviously, yes, we've got our rivalry, but there are some things that are a little bit more important than rivalry in football. So yeah, rest in peace, Jack. And it is with a heavy heart we do continue here outside Turf Moor. Lovely Turf Moor outside the cricket club.
Probably can't see it with all the cars in the way. But we are
literally, honestly, if you can just see where my fingers. There you go. Look at that. Ta-da! They probably can just see the cricket pitch, to be fair. But hey, doesn't matter. But Lee, the team news wasn't really too surprising, but the bench was really, really great to see. Nick Pope on the bench, Alan Laron, Joe Linton. It was great for the bench, but the actual team itself did almost pick itself after last week.
Wilson was this big surprise one. Who was like, ooh, Wilson and Isak. We're trying to work out, is Isak up top as a 4-4-2? Is Isak on the left? Very brave decision, especially away from home. I know it's Burnley, but it's still a Premier League game away from home. It's rare that a manager changes his system to play two up top, but we've had injury problems, but he hinted, Eddie, in the presser that you'll have some bodies back. I don't know, he was playing poker or whatever, and he's playing his Joker card, but jokes are on us today because we've come away nice and win, but great, we've got squad depth.
Quick question, did Elliot Anderson deserve to be dropped from the game? Because obviously he was the one that made that change, essentially, wasn't it?
You're not going to drop Bruno, are you? So it's either him or Sean, and Sean's got more experience, so probably, but maybe it is harsh, but I expect a couple of changes next fixture.
Yeah, it was 4-4-2, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen. Isak and Wilson up front. Eddie Howe has been saying this. He's been banging on the drum a little bit, saying these two can play together, and they can play it together. But it wasn't them playing together that was what was worrying us, to be honest. The first 5-10 minutes, Burnley, or even 15 minutes, if you like, Burnley had 2 or 3 good chances, and Dubravka in particular had to make one really good save where it's just a long ball, isn't it? It's just a long ball over the top.
He's just not switched on, and it's a clear tactic from the goalkeeper, go long every time, ping a ball, because the wingers are coming inbound every time Muric was kicking it long, so it's a clear tactic, and Kraft got caught and Dubravka was saved. But the first 15-20 minutes we haven't started some games very well, and you look at Sheffield United, you look at Palace, we're not starting the game well, so it was worrying. And we said it with Sheffield United last week, you didn't take your chances. I mean, we're ruthless at the other end. We're the highest scoring team in Newcastle for years. I think we might be Bobby's record. I think, what was that, 2002?
Yeah.
So, got to put your chances away. And thankfully, we scraped away with not conceding.
Well, didn't concede in the first half for sure, but it was a case of we couldn't even get the ball off Burnley, like Sander Berger, Josh Brownhill were really dictating play for the first 20 minutes, but as Lee rightly says, if you don't take your chances in the Premier League, you're not staying in the Premier League. It's as simple as that, and that's probably what's going to happen to Burnley this season. And for Newcastle, you have to give a lot of credit to Tino Livramento, who breaks the play up in the first half, about 20 minutes in, and Newcastle link it up really well, and it ends up Jacob Murphy being down the right-hand side, puts a cross in, Isak with the first initial chance, which is saved by Muric, but it comes back to, hey, Callum Wilson, who loves a goal against Burnley.
He does, but I was sitting at the ground next to you, so...
I'm not going to lie, this is a little secret around Sandmill to see what actually happened, because it was like a pinball and then it was in the back of the net. You could see the ball hit the back of the net, but like, what actually happened? So yeah, shout out to Sam. But yeah, look, you take your chances, and Newcastle went 1-0 against the run of play.
I initially thought Murphy just crossed it, and then Wilson... Was it Wilson?
Yeah.
It was on the end of it, and I thought, oh, great play, but obviously I haven't seen that back, because the signal round here today has been awful. We kind of get signal even round here. So we haven't even seen the goals back and nothing, so... but yeah, 1-0 against the run of play, probably, you would say. But taking chances, and we've got Callum Wilson, and he's got his small critics amongst Newcastle fan base. I'm a big fan of him. Keep him fit, he scores goals. It's simple as that, but that's the problem with him. Keeping him fit, but it's a bread and butter from him. And he's just slicing that Slurpak. I'm slurring now all over that bread.
Deary me. He's only had about 5 pints, honestly. But no, after 1-0, we're thinking, well, this is when the real Newcastle are going to show up, and they ended up doing that, and Newcastle did go 2-0 up, and very, very similar, just a ball played back into the path of Sean Longstaff, who buries it into the bottom corner, and it was breathing space from there from 2-0, and you thought, well, this is Newcastle in a nutshell. They're getting their chances, they're taking their chances.
Yeah, good the same score, because I've been a critic of him in the last few weeks, and not just me, that on everybody effectively hasn't been up to form. He'd probably say that himself, but great finish, get on the score sheet, needs to score more goals, but fantastic. And I think this is like being back at the St James's Park in the old days, isn't it? How are they?
We'll keep going.
Hello. Point it down.
I'm back.
It's like back the old days when we used to do it at the car park. 2-0, and Burnley. You can see why they concede goals, because God, hey, so much space in that central box. And I don't know if it was an injury to their centre back when they pulled him off, or it was a tactical change, because they were just getting ripped.
Yeah, they certainly were. I think it was an injury actually for Burnley at the end of the first half. But before that, there's a little man in the middle of our midfield called Bruno Guimarães, and it was from the left this time rather. Pass, everyone was saying, give it to Bruno, give it to Bruno. You give it to Bruno, and he puts it in the back of the net, and it was 3-0, and that was certainly game over at that point, I think.
But now you were like...
I'm always like, 3-0, Newcastle should win this game, or they shouldn't lose this game, but against Burnley and where they are and how they're playing.
And some people were worried about coming here, although they picked up a little bit of form. What did I say a couple of weeks ago? The next two fixtures, you've got to pick up 6 points if you want to be in Europe.
Yeah.
And obviously, I will dissect. Bruno, 3-0. Enjoy yourself, and what I said to you against, how many do you want?
I think that was the situation. I think a lot of people were talking at half time, because it was 3-0 going, what could it be, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, what could it be? But this was probably the most interesting point of the second half. I know Isak scored the goal, which we'll touch about in a second, but Newcastle actually got a penalty 5 minutes into the second half after Anthony Gordon. We were right in front of it, actually. Anthony Gordon just literally takes a touch past Josh Brownhill and says, I'm going to beat you for pace. He does, pulls him back, and it's
brilliant by Gordon, by the way, brilliant.
It is, and it was Callum Wilson got the ball. Then Alexander Isak saying, look, I'm only a couple behind Haaland, give me the ball. And it was kind of decided between Sean Longstaff, a little bit of Dan Burn in there. And my perspective on it, and I'll ask for your perspective in a second, I don't mind that. I don't mind that because of the situation. It's 3-0. Because the game's necessary. It's pretty much won. I understand who's the designated penalty taker, X, Y, and Z.
Is it Wilson now, or is it Isak? We don't know that.
Well, that was Isak's first miss for a penalty. And Callum Wilson hasn't missed a penalty for Newcastle. But
Wilson scored already, so maybe Isak's like, had a minute. I've got the golden boot chance here. I need to score. It was a bit of a little bit. It wasn't nowhere near as bad as the Chelsea afters. But I don't know if match of the day, if you've seen it back, whether they showed that individual clip. But there was a little bit of friction there. But he missed it. It was a good save, to be fair. And there was a bit of was a VAR, was it encroachment or not? And we're seeing the moment where Wilson went up to Isak and just said, forget about it, basically. And we also seen that later when he was subbed.
Yeah, it was nice to see. There's no falling outs or anything like that. I'm sure Eddie Howe, if he even is questioned about it, it'll be quashed straight away. But it didn't take too long, about 2 or 3 minutes later, and then Alexander Isak did score.
Probably a good thing that because it was the next one to play.
Yeah.
So, in theory, if he scores that penalty, we probably don't score that goal. Exactly. So, but 4 out.
Cross from the right hand side,
I'm trying to remember all these goals.
Cross from the right hand side, and it literally comes to Isak on a plate and puts it in the roof of the net, and it was 4-0, and that's his 20th Premier League goal of the season.
Yes, I remember that. So the cross come in, and there wasn't Clarets, was it? And then it's literally, I think, was it Wilson in there?
Wilson was involved.
And then he's like, right, I'm 5 yards out. I've got an empty net to put this in, so ice cold, baby. It's 5. No, it's 4. I'm jumping ahead of myself. Wish it was 5. 4-0 up, and it's like, again, go on, how many do you want? 'Cause it was still early on.
Yeah, it certainly was. Joe Linton comes on, Mickey Almiron comes on, Harvey Barnes comes on, Eddie Anderson comes on.
Say that again, just them names again.
Joe Linton, Mickey Almiron, Harvey Barnes, Eddie Anderson.
We're moving
We're moving. But yeah, it was 4 fantastic players coming on for Newcastle, which is the depth that we needed. Matt Ritchie came on as well and gave away a corner with pretty much his first touch, and Burnley got the corner, and it went to the far post, and Dara O'Shea's header looped over everybody and went in, so that was 4-1. Ritchie nearly scored right at the end, actually, Lee, with that shot, which Muric saved well, but Muric made a couple of decent saves towards the end. Anthony Gordon was a bit of a menace as well, but it was a really, really good performance from Newcastle United, and I'm sure the former Burnley manager and the current Newcastle United manager, Eddie Howe, would have been very, very happy with that. So, Eddie, tell us all about that 4-1 win away from home.
Yeah, it was a tough start, but we knew it probably would be coming here with the position Burnley are in, and this is a difficult ground to play at. But I thought once we settled, I thought we played some really good football. I thought the first goal was probably a big moment in the game, just to settle us down, and never look back really from that moment. Scoring goals is the most difficult thing to do in the sport that we're in. So if we can be regular goal scorers, then we've got a chance of course, winning games. We know we need to improve defensively. I thought it was overall a pretty good defensive display from us today. Disappointed with the goal at the end, but a big step forward, I think, especially being away from home. You know, the penalty can happen. Anyone can miss one. He's been really good from the spot this year and some big pens for us. But I was pleased that he got his goal just after. That would give him a big lift and make sure that penalty miss won't be as painful as it could have been. Yeah, we're in there fighting for those places. Nothing will be decided today, but it's given us a much better position than before the game. Now we go into a big 3-game week next week, starting with Brighton, and that will be a tough game. Yeah, it has. It's been an amazing journey for me and the team. I say it all the time, but an absolute privilege to manage this magnificent club, and hopefully there's a few more.
And we are back. Eddie Howe, obviously very happy. A bit of class from Eddie Howe, actually. Obviously, at the end of the game, all the players and the coach and staff clap, all the supporters after the game. But because of being Eddie Howe's former club, he didn't want to be deemed to be disrespectful, I suppose, and just walked off and clapped the fans and little clap, and just decided, we'll celebrate maybe in the changing room and nobody can see. But it was just those are the little things I think are nice, I suppose, in those kind of moments, particularly against the former club. Nick Pope actually got a fantastic reception from the Burnley fans. In terms of outstanding players, Tino Livramento for me. I thought he was outstanding first half and didn't deserve to concede a goal, if I'm honest. He was a real nuisance, and he's just getting better and better. And you just think of the age of him. We're not missing Kieran Trippier, and that's the biggest compliment I can give. And look, it'd be great to have Kieran Trippier back in the squad, but we're not missing him because he's been that good. And Lewis Hall as well, Lee. How good have those two been at this moment in time? Because it's almost become week in, week out now. We're seeing both and putting performances, maybe not sometimes starting or coming on, but they're just putting stellar performances in and they don't seem to be replaced. And I know that's injuries as well. We've
said it during the years, doing YouTube, is that, and everybody says it was in the game, a run of games for a player does a world of good, because you find your rhythm, you build little relationships next to you or in front of you and wherever you play. And those two, I'm going to pick Lewis Hall. Just I thought Dan Burn also the experience there.
Yeah, I mean, Emil Crafty, like the back four didn't deserve to. Apart from the first 10 minutes, we had a few little sticky moments. After that, they were pretty comfortable.
Yeah, but they're growing into it, and that signing has now been made permanent. Lewis Hall, not officially, the club haven't spoken now, but it's been triggered. And Livramento, obviously former Chelsea product himself, both brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But Lewis Hall he's just grown. It's good to see, because we're questioning, why is he given 5 minutes, or why has he not played for a month? And it was just bizarre, let's be honest. It was bizarre looking at it early on the season, because Eddie Howe just wouldn't change Dan Burn. But I think it's a blessing in disguise that because Dan Burn's looked incredible the last few weeks playing centre-back, ironically. So sometimes an injury can help, and find, like Joe Linton. He was forced into centre midfield with the Norwich game a couple of years back. Good to see him back, mate, by the way.
It was. I'll mention Joe Linton in a second, but can I just ask a real quick question? You mentioned Lewis Hall today. Just pipping it in terms of Tino Livramento, I'll argue with you the other way. But do you think it helps Lewis Hall that Dan Burn is right next to him in that sense? I think not that he's telling him what to do, but Lewis Hall's so attacking minded. But I still think there is a couple of things defensively, because there were times that Burnley had spacing, big gaps on that right hand side, where if Burnley really did something a little bit better, they could have had a couple more chances. But I still think that having Dan Burn next to him is a massive help.
It is, but you've also got to look at this left-hand side, that Gordon's way down the wing. Yeah. He's not helping him out all the time, so Gordon's at least 40 yards down the field to play, whereas on the other flank, normally Miggy's helping back, Murphy's helping back, so I think he's done well with having Dan Burn there. And of course, our left centre midfield with Joe Linton will probably come over if he starts a few games. Hopefully the last few games of the season, but he's just growing in confidence. It's really nice to see, because we want young lads to come through, and they were bought for the future, let's be honest.
So I'm just thinking it is early May, by the way.
Burnley, it's great, it's wet, it's turf moor.
I know.
In a win.
That's all that matters. Jacob Murphy, so I thought he was brilliant today. Got a couple of assists as well, and he was, I think, a real threat to Burnley, which is a bit of a shout out.
Carried away again, winning against Burnley, because he's got a style of football,
yeah.
But that's a championship team.
It is a championship team, but the only thing I will say is, I know they beat Sheffield United, and I know we did, but they got a point in Manchester United. And
they have improved, don't get me wrong, but I know there's a few in our WhatsApp personals, people ooh, but we've got to come here and win.
100%. I get that. 100%.
We're going to come here and win, so we'll have.
Just briefly on Joe Linton, great to see him back, and like I say, it was almost, when was he going to come on, especially in the second half because the game was wrapped up, and I don't think he'll start next week.
Well, we'll see. I mean,
but it would be great if he did.
Will he play 20 minutes today?
Yeah.
For another full week behind him. Nick Pope's been on the bench. I think he'll start. And Trippier close. Trippier might make a Man U one midweek potentially. So
Almiron.
Move on.
Almiron doesn't get on. Doesn't get in the starting 11 at the minute.
And that's a good thing because he hasn't produced. We've got players. The problem that we've got is centre back because we've got 3 of them out at the minute. So Kraft's having to come on, and the likes of Dummett and Alex Murphy might get an odd 5-10 minutes. But no, it's a good day in the race for Europe. Is still there, and I think it's now down to 3 clubs. Obviously, Man United and Chelsea aren't playing at the minute, but I think it's up between 2 out of 3 now.
It's certainly heating up. I said before the game, probably the lowest that Newcastle are going to finish realistically is 8th. This is your updated Premier League table. The results today haven't really affected around Newcastle. Manchester United play on Monday night against Crystal Palace. Chelsea play tomorrow against West Ham. Wins for Arsenal, wins for Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest benefits there, doesn't benefit Burnley.
What do you want from that game, Chelsea-West Ham? Because Chelsea win, probably knocks West Ham out.
I probably want a West Ham win now because I think we're too many. The thing is, they've only got 3 games left. West Ham.
I want to draw. I'll be set on the fence.
Possibly, but I think if I had to choose a winner, I'd rather West Ham win than Chelsea, because West Ham I think are 7 points behind us and they've got 3 games left, and we've still got Brighton at home. Brentford away is going to be tough. Man United away is going to be tough, but your fantasy. I think at this moment in time now, it's in our own hands. That's what you want. We're 5 points out of Chelsea before they play tomorrow. We're 2 points out of Manchester United. We've actually moved up to 6th in the Premier League table. Can we even look at 5th, or is that being a bit too optimistic?
Nah, I think it's too much. If you had an extra 5 games, I think the season's coming to an end now, and I think 5th is too far. And Andy in our WhatsApp thinks we can, but I don't think we can. I think it's too much, unfortunately. But you know what it is? We finished 6th after all the carry on that we've had all season, where we've had 10 to 15 players out every game, and every time one player comes back, someone gets off injured, and it's been like that. And every single week we're talking about injuries to the player, but we're talking about players coming back today, Johnny. It's positive, and we've got a small run in, and we need to clinch a European place, and whether it's Conference or Europa League, because you've got 8 games, it's expanded. Well, I'll go in either one, to be honest with you.
Can I ask the question, how many points more do you think realistically Newcastle need to make sure they're guaranteed some sort of European competition?
Depends what happens over the weekend. So let's just say they both win, because I think that's literally 2 out of 3. I think because we've got 2 points advantage over Chelsea, we only need an extra point. If we would come
the goal difference as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If it comes down to the last game of the season, we're 2 points ahead. We'll only need a point. So, on form, you would say Chelsea and us on form, but Man United's. I think our midweek game is big.
It is, but I think actually Man United have got the toughest running out of those 3 teams. I think, they've got Arsenal, they've got us, St James's, and Brighton and Crystal Palace away. Not many teams do well at Brighton and Crystal Palace away.
I think if we win, we've clinched it at Old Trafford. I think that's done. Yeah. Even a draw might be enough. You never know. We'll have to see what the players out, and we'll be cheering on other teams over the weekend. Certainly.
Well, we'll wrap things up here just very, very quickly. The women's team have their final game of the season. They've already wrapped up the title. They're champions. They'll be playing in the championship next season. You should see some of their away trips potentially that Lee may end up doing. I might end up doing a few as well, but they're certainly south. Let's be honest. But yeah, it's the long distance, believe you me. But yeah, they take on West Bromwich Albion tomorrow. Lee will be there. There's an end of season party. There'll be a great vlog coming out Sunday night, Monday morning, and then it's Brighton next Saturday at St James's Park, the last home game of the season before the back-to-back away games against Manchester United and Brentford. It's absolutely pissing it down out here. You're going to West Bromwich. I'm going to go back home.
Well, I'm going to Stafford. I'm going to Sam's neck of the woods.
So he's going to come around to Sam's for
Toryland.
a cup of tea, maybe a jammy dodger or 2. Who even knows? But
you can't come round mine. I'm at work.
There you go. Well, I'm going to go back home, get on the train, and get a few beers on the train back. Why not? From a very rainy Burnley Cricket Club where you can see Turf Moor in the background if you're very, very fortunate. We'll see you all very soon.